France's transport minister says the initial focus of investigators trying to access data from a damaged cockpit voice recorder will be on the conversations prior to the crash in the Alps that killed 150 people. Officials believe it's unlikely there was an intruder or attack that caused the Germanwings plane to crash on a flight from Spain to Germany.
Joining us on the Kogo News Live line this morning is aviation crisis consultant Ken Jenkins. And Ken, at this point, what is the most likely scenario that happened to this plane?
Hey, good morning, Ted and LaDonna. I would hate to speculate. I really don't know. There's so many different scenarios that could play into what caused the accident, and a number of them are being touted out on the news. So I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I mean, it seems there are a lot of oddities to this accident, like the 38,000-foot cruise altitude and then descending, albeit a controlled descent, but with no contact to the ATC. Of course, if you're trying to command and control the aircraft, that might have been normal, but it just seems kind of strange at this point.
Yeah, the 8-minute descent, I mean, that doesn't sound like the plane was falling out of the sky.
No, not at all. I mean, it is what you're hearing on the news. The term is controlled descent, like it was planned or it was programmed into the aircraft. And so it was a steady descent, and it was somewhat of a steep descent, but not something that was like a nosedive. So the sensation would have been like you're coming in for a landing and you can feel your ears popping and you're descending, but not anything that might cause alarm to those in the cabin.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think anything that the passengers knew what was going on?
I don't know. I don't think so based on what we're hearing. Until you get to the point where you're at that altitude where you're in the mountain range, where that certainly is going to, alarm people. But how much time was there that they had that awareness before the plane impacted the mountain? I don't know.
And the voice recorder is damaged. So ultimately, what does that mean for the information on it? Can they still get the recordings?
Well, that's what we're waiting to. Everybody's waiting to hear, LaDonna, and it's very critical that we get that information, because being able to hear or not hear what's on the cockpit voice recorder is crucial to the investigation, particularly when you marry it up against the flight deck recorder, which hasn't been found. The flight deck recorder measures all the systems on the aircraft and the inputs from the cockpit, and you can take that information and from a time sequence match it up to the sounds and the conversations in the cockpit. So having the two together will really help paint a complete picture of what was happening.
Aviation crisis consultant Ken Jenkins on the Kogo News Live line with us. And it seems, but, not knowing anything about piloting, so here's my question for you. I mean, they had to have known that they were descending, the pilots.
Well, now you would think so, certainly based on the fact that it appears to be a controlled descent. So the question is, did they know something was going wrong, and they programmed for the descent, and then something incapacitated the pilots, which could lead to why there was no discussion with ATC? Certainly a possibility, just don't know.
What could incapacitate pilots?
Hypothermia is certainly something that could have happened if there was any kind of decompression on board the aircraft, and then they had lack of oxygen. That could incapacitate the pilots.
Would that mean that the passengers would be incapacitated as well?
Not necessarily. It depends on where the decompression was. You would think that if there was decompression, though, that they would have descended much faster than they did. So I'm not sure that that's really what happened. But again, that's just one of those things, Ted, when you look at an aviation accident, there's so many things that can play into it. And who knows at this point. That's why it's so critical to get that FDR and the information off the CVR. The families right now are after a couple of things. They certainly want to know what happened to their loved ones. I think they understand there was an accident. They can see there was an accident and that their loved ones were killed. But they want to know why now. And the speculation adds to the frustration to the families because they don't know what's true. And so hopefully they get updates from the investigators on a daily basis. And at the same time that they're getting those updates, the second thing that they want is to get their loved ones' remains back so they can inter them. And those are the two key things right now. What happened to the plane, and can we get our loved ones back?
All right. Aviation crisis consultant Ken Jenkins with us on the Kogo News Live Line. He has a new book out called Resilient, and he details the human side of the airline industry during its more trying times. So some insight there into what it is that investigators are doing.
Kogo News Time 6:17. Here are the stories trending in San Diego. German officials confirmed 2 Americans were among the 150 killed aboard that airliner that crashed in the French Alps yesterday.